Good morning. The time is now 9:30. I will call the March 9th, 2021 meeting of the Mill Creek Township Board of Supervisors to order. Would you please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This meeting is being televised live online via GoLive at youtube.com. The link can be reached at www.millcreektownship.com/meetings. It's also recorded by WQLN for viewing on Spectrum Channel 1024 and youtube.com with closed captioning. Members of the public may attend in person in the General Assembly Room. However, total occupancy is limited to 25 persons and masks are required. Persons who wish to offer testimony at any hearing or to offer comments during public comment portion of the meeting but do not wish to attend in person must contact Township Secretary Cheryl Williams at 814-833-1111 or email at swilliams@millcreektownship.com no later than 24 hours before the scheduled meeting to make arrangements to participate via telephone. Ms. Williams, has anyone arranged to participate today via telephone? Okay, thank you. Next item on our agenda is public comment on agenda items other than development or rezoning applications. Anyone care to address the board regarding today's agenda? Hearing none. Next item on our agenda is the approval of our February 23rd minutes. Any questions or comments from the board on the minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Bach?
Vote yes.
Mr. Olet?
I vote yes.
And I vote yes. Next item is approval of the bills. Any questions or comments on the bills, gentlemen?
Make a motion to approve.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Bach?
Vote yes.
Mr. Olet?
I vote yes.
And I vote yes. Next item on our agenda is bids and quotations. First is the municipal equipment bid results and awards, Public Works Fleet Maintenance Department. Gary, would you like me to go over these, or do you have these? Okay. Recently, township equipment was put out for bid for purchase by the general public. We have those bid results. They were opened yesterday morning or yesterday afternoon at 1 o'clock. We did get qualified bids for all of the items. First is the 1998 Volvo tri-axle dump truck. Highest qualified bid was for $13,550 to Sandra Neller. Next item was a 2013 Ford Taurus. Highest qualified bid was $4,100 by Mr. Ronald Forbes. Next item was a 2002 Chevy truck. Highest qualified bid of $775 to Rocco Zaccagnino. Next was a 2000 Ford truck. Highest qualified bid was $453 from John Zemanowski. Next was a 2008 Ford Escape. Highest qualified bid was $268 from Youssef Debog. Our sixth item was a 2011 Chevy Impala. Highest qualified bid was $1,502 by Jordan Smith. Next was another 2011 Impala. Highest bid was $2,500 from Mr. Jim Campbell. Next was a 2001 Ford truck. Highest qualified bid, $2,500 from Justin Presnar. Next was a 2008 American LaFrance sweeper. Highest qualified bid was $2,975 from Consul Construction. Next was a 1993 International dump truck. Highest qualified bid was $610.77 from James Schaefer.
Piggy bank.
Next item was a 1997 Hudson tri-axle trailer. Highest qualified bid was $865 from Mr. Jeff Oteni. Next was a 1988 Champion road grader. Highest qualified bid was $7,575 from Dave's Auto. Next was a 6-inch pump. The number 1 6-inch pump, highest qualified bid is $400 from Mr. Josh Sturgeon. The next 6-inch pump, highest qualified bid was $100 from Jim Brozell Construction. Next item was a 60 kilowatt Detroit generator. Highest qualified bid was $1,550 from Consul Construction. The other 60 kilowatt Detroit generator, highest qualified bid was also $1,550 from Consul Construction. A 150 kilowatt Onan generator, highest bid was $3,225 from Consul Construction. Next was a 250 kilowatt Onan generator. Highest qualified bid was $3,225 from Consul Construction. Next was a power auger. Highest qualified bid was $112 from Thomas Roja. Next was a sewer rotor. Highest qualified bid was $162 from Thomas Roja. Next was a Vermeer wood chipper. Highest qualified bid was $1,300 from Jim Brozell Construction. Next was a tar buggy trailer. Highest qualified bid was $695 from Consul Construction.
Chairman Morgan, with respect to the Vermeer wood chipper, I noticed that it looks like the highest winning bid was from Consul Construction for $2,395, not Jim Brozell for $1,300.
Oh, apologies. That was highlighted incorrectly. Okay. Gentlemen, I apologize. Mr. Shaw is correct. I had the wrong bid highlighted. Highest qualified bid for the Vermeer wood chipper was $2,395 from Consul Construction. Next was the tar buggy trailer. Again, the highest qualified bid was $695 from Consul Construction. A 2005 Honda Civic Hybrid. Highest qualified bid was $650 from John Fleming. A 30-gallon parts washer, $75 from Clyde Kendall. And the 30-gallon parts washer, the second 30-gallon parts washer, $38 to Consul Construction. Any questions or comments on the bids for this equipment?
No.
Mr. Snyder, any questions or comments or concerns of Public Works about accepting these bids?
I think all the bids were fair for the machinery that we have, and I would recommend approval.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve all of the bids as stated?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Bach?
Vote yes.
Mr. Olet?
I vote yes.
And I vote yes. Next on our agenda is change order number 1 for forward planning, Planning and Development Department. Mr. Waldinger.
Thank you. Good morning. Yes, this is an amended professional services agreement for forward planning. They are currently preparing a market and financial feasibility analysis for the township under a contract that was awarded at the May 12th, 2020 Supervisors Meeting. Part of their contract is to do detailed financial feasibility and fiscal impact market analysis for 3 specific sites in the township that the township was to identify. In the course of determining the sites, the township identified 4 sites that it wished to have that analysis performed on. So we contacted Forward Planning, and they have provided the attached amended agreement and amended scope of work to include analysis of an additional site. This addition would result in an increase of $3,500 to their existing contract. So it is my recommendation that the board approve the amended agreement and scope of work to add an additional analysis site to Forward Planning's contract for an additional cost of $3,500. The funds are available in the capital budget under the Presque Isle Gateway Project line item, and this would bring Forward Planning's contract to an updated amount of $45,300.
Mr. Waldinger, I just want to clarify that those sites are the Kmart Plaza, the West 8th Street corridor, another
And
site
there's
on-
there are sites on the north side of 26th and Peninsula,
Mhm.
and then we were including and adding in the triangle that's formed by West 6th Street, West 8th Street, and Peninsula Drive.
Thank you, Mr. Waldinger. Any questions or comments from the board? Okay. Is there a motion to approve change order number 1 with forward planning to increase the contract by $3,500 for a total amount of $45,300?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Bach?
Vote yes.
Mr. Olet?
I vote yes.
And I vote yes. Next item is amendment to the document management software upgrade, Planning and Development Department. Mr. Waldinger.
Thank you. Yes, at the previous meeting, February 23rd, the board approved an upgrade to the Century File document management software. The cost of the software upgrade is $1,250, and migration services were approved at a quoted cost of $1,200 for a total of $2,450. The company has further reviewed our data and the time needed to prepare for the migration and has provided an updated quote of $2,000 to perform the conversion. It's my recommendation that the board amend their approval, increasing the migration services portion of the contract to $2,000, resulting in a new total cost of $3,250. A budget transfer was approved for the initial agreement, and a transfer of the additional $800 will need to be approved. This will come from the ArcGIS Online Capital Budget line item and will be transferred to Planning and Development Software Maintenance Operating Account. This will result in a new balance of $46,750 in the ArcGIS Online budget.
Thank you, Mr. Waldinger. Any questions or comments from the board? Okay, is there a motion to approve the updated quote? Total cost of $3,250, along with the capital budget line item transfer to cover those costs.
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Mr. Bach?
I vote yes.
Mr. Olet?
I vote yes.
And I vote yes. Next on our agenda is helmets and face shields for the Mill Creek Township Police Department. I believe that's being handled by Chief Height. Morning, Scott.
Thank you. Good morning. I'm requesting approval for the purchase of 50 ballistic helmets and 61 non-ballistic helmet face shields. Our low bid is from Galls at $17,770. Along with that, I have a request in for a capital budget amendment to pay for the helmets, and it would transfer a reserve balance, or transfer a balance to the reserve of $6,950.45. That's what would be remaining after the helmet purchase. Copies of all three of the bids have been forwarded to Cheryl for inclusion in the for the board.
So Chief, just so I'm clear, it's 50 ballistic helmets, 61 non-ballistic helmet face shields, and all that total price is $17,770.
That's correct.
Chief, is this to replace existing helmets, or is this something new for the
This is
force?
something new. It's in addition to some stock that we had, but in essence, we will be issuing one to every officer.
Okay, so that's new.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
All right, any other questions from the board? Is there a motion to approve the purchase of 50 ballistic helmets and 61 non-ballistic helmet face shields from Galls at a total price of $17,770?
I'll make that motion, John.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Bach?
Vote yes.
Mr. Olet?
I vote yes.
And I vote yes. Next item on our agenda is Resolution 2021 R17, a resolution pursuant to Resolution 2015 R20, and the Municipal Records Manual to approve proposed disposition of certain township records. Today, the resolution is again our routine authorization for the Mill Creek Township Police Department to delete dash cam video once it reaches its maturity date. So we'll be authorizing the deletion of those videos that reach the required retention period between the dates of March 10th 2021, and March 23rd, 2021. And I believe we also have a request from Public Works to dispose of various financial documents that have reached their retention period of 7 years. We have a list of those documents before you, gentlemen. Any questions or comments regarding approval to dispose of the dash cam videos and the financial documents that have reached the retention dates? Okay. Is there a motion to approve Resolution 2021-R17?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I will second.
Mr. Bach?
Vote yes?
Mr. Olet?
I vote yes.
And I vote yes. Next item is Resolution 2021-R18, a resolution amending Resolutions 2020-R37, 2020-R42, 2020-R54, 2020-R67, 2020-R71, and 2021-R8 to update and modify various township COVID-19 policies.
I have a hunch this won't be the last time.
Hopefully, at some point, we will no longer have to refer to 10 resolutions in the past. There have been various...
All right, quick question on this. All of these resolutions are in sequential order to amend the previous resolution. Why do we have to reference every single one of them and not just the most recent one?
We could arguably, but from, at least for purposes of trying to find the previous ones, it's kind of nice to have those there just so you know where to find them quickly if you need to refer back to something. So it's more of a personal preference, frankly, from my perspective. Makes it a little bit easier to find them when I need to find them.
Mark, I would hate to make things harder for you. What do you have for us today, Mr. Shaw?
As you know, as the pandemic and the virus numbers have dropped, there's been a relaxation of some provisions that, as you know, the township has kind of been monitoring and tracking what the state has been doing. And the first thing is the governor ended the travel policy that was in place in Pennsylvania, restricting travel and imposing conditions on what you had to do to get back into the state if you were out of the state for a period of time. So the first part of this resolution terminates the township's travel policy. And then secondly, the CDC and the state have adopted policies relating to what persons who have received both shots or the full shot program of a vaccine, what they can do or what they have to do if they're exposed to people who have COVID or are believed to have COVID. And essentially it's, let me pull it up here. It allows an employee who's been fully vaccinated with the approved vaccines does not need to quarantine if they've had an exposure to an affected individual, if it's within 3 months of when they've had their final vaccine shot, and that they've remained asymptomatic since getting that shot. So it gives flexibility to employees who would not have to stay home from work and quarantine if they've been exposed to somebody.
What about the people that haven't been vaccinated?
The rules would still apply that currently apply to unvaccinated people.
Okay.
Yeah, this is in addition to our policy. None of the other portions of that policy have changed. It just adds another layer to address a new situation.
Thank you, Mr. Shaw. Any additional questions or comments from the board? Okay. Is there a motion to approve Resolution 2021-R18?
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
Second. Reluctantly.
Mr. Bach?
Yes.
Mr. Olet?
I vote yes.
And I vote yes. Next item on our agenda is the Elk County Memorandum of Understanding, which was tabled on February 23rd. Mr. Shaw.
I would recommend at this point to remove it from the agenda. We have repeatedly attempted to reach out to these folks. If you recall, they had initially approached us about having this MOU signed. We came up with a draft, and it's been silent since then. So I think at this point, we'll just take it off the agenda. If they get back to us, they get back to us, and then we'll put it back on.
Well, Mr. Shaw, I mean, the agenda item isn't very clear on what the MOU is. Can you give us a little brief on what the MOU is for?
Sure, this came up, I think, as a result of the cyber attack that was experienced by the township. And I know Chief may add to what I say here in terms of explaining what it's for, but there's a system that's used in, I think, northwestern PA by all the various police departments, exchanging information and so forth, and that got shut down when we had the incident, and this was intended to kind of lay the ground rules for connecting back in. I believe we've ultimately connected back in.
That's correct.
So maybe the need for this has disappeared, but
That was my question. I mean, we do have connectivity.
Just as recent as last week, yes.
Okay. Okay. Well,
What was the purpose of the MOU then?
it was to kind of set up the protocol for reconnecting, as well as, I think, addressing what, if something happens in the future. So,
And it was an MOU that Elk County requested from us,
yes.
and then
They manage a multi-county area for police information and storing of that information, and it gave us access to that, and
Okay.
vice versa.
Right, and so they had requested an MOU with us before they would give us our access back, but they granted that access without this MOU?
Yes.
Okay. All right, is there a motion to remove the Elk County MOU from the agenda?
so moved.
I'll second.
Okay, Mr. Bach,
Vote yes.
Mr. Olet,
I vote yes.
and I vote yes. Next item is the DALRT Inc. DBA Duncan Agreement. Mr. Shaw,
Yes, this is.
there's a lot of letters. What do they mean?
I have no idea. This relates to, again, COVID-19 issues. Early on in the pandemic, the township and various other municipalities had entered into agreements with a hotel and some food service companies to provide rooms and food for emergency responders who had to isolate and couldn't do it at home, so that they had a place to go. One of the current food providers, I think, that provides breakfast in the hotels in the Edinburgh area, the Comfort Suites in Edinburgh. The Sheets had provided breakfasts, was the entity that was designated for that, but the Edinburgh Sheets recently closed for renovations, so the Dunkin' Donuts stepped up and indicated they would provide that breakfast service, and this is the agreement just reflecting that.
Any questions or comments from the board? All right, is there a motion to approve the Duncan agreement?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Bach,
Vote yes.
Mr. Olet,
I vote yes.
and I vote yes. Next item is the Zook Road Sanitary Sewer Engineering Services Agreement. Mr. Snyder or Mr. Waldinger, don't fight too much over who gets to address this one. All right, Mr. Waldinger, short straw, okay. What do you got for us?
Thank you. Yes, PennDOT is planning on doing a highway betterment project on Zook Road in 2022. And they have identified a conflict with an existing township sanitary sewer line that runs near a culvert close to 26th Street. And the township is being required to move the sanitary line to lower it so that PennDOT can replace the culvert. We sought bids for engineering services for the project and received 3 bids. They are as follows. Raybell Surveying and Engineering, their bid was $26,400. Sanford Surveying and Engineering, bid of $29,000. And Urban Engineers, a bid of $40,940. The township will be seeking reimbursements for these funds. There is a possibility that we could be reimbursed up to 75% if we meet all of the qualifications and timelines that PennDOT has established for this project for us to have the line moved before they do their work. So it is the recommendation of the Planning and Development Department that we award the professional engineering services for the Zook Road Sanitary Sewer Relocation Project to Raybell Surveying and Engineering for the proposed amount of $26,400. Also ask to authorize the chairman to sign the contract once it has been reviewed and approved by the township solicitor.
Yeah, the intent on the agreement is to use our form, kind of professional services agreement, and amend that according to these particular provisions they need. They submit it with their package, a 8-page, single-spaced font at 6 terms and conditions, which I was not comfortable with.
Understood. So the state has a project that's gonna impact our infrastructure, and they want us to pay to move it.
Yes.
There are provisions in the state manuals to allow for reimbursement, and we're in the process of putting together the paperwork to get that. I think that it should qualify, I believe, Matt, for a 75% reimbursement from PennDOT.
Can PennDOT make like Penelec move their lines and make Penelec pay for it, or tell National Fuel to move their gas lines and make National Fuel pay for it? Or?
I believe so. At least the program that, the form, you know, the program manual would seem to suggest that they can do that to the utilities as well.
But do they? Okay, whatever.
Gary, is that under the road, or is that off the side of the road? And will that have to go under the creek?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, I believe from looking at the plans, it does, it currently goes down the east side and then crosses just south of the culvert to the west side. And it is near the berm on both sides, but that crossing would have to be removed and slid further to the south in order to clear the area for where they need to work.
Okay.
All right, any other questions from the board? All right, is there a motion to approve the proposal from Raybell Surveying Engineering for the cost of $26,400 and recommend and approve the chair to execute the contract once it's been reviewed and finalized by our solicitor?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Mr. Bach,
Vote yes.
Mr. Roulette,
I vote yes.
and I vote yes.
Thank you.
Next item on our agenda is the AFSCME collective bargaining agreement for 2022 to 2026. This would be a 5-year contract approval with our AFSCME collective bargaining unit. The contract would extend all of the language and terms of the previous contract with the following changes. Employees will receive a 2% cost of living increase in 2022, a 2% increase in 2023, 2% in 2024, 2.25% in 2025, and 2.25% in 2026 for an average of 2.1% per year. Employees will also be asked to increase their contributions to the healthcare costs, to increase those costs by $5 a year in 2022, 2023, 2024. We've agreed to allow the cost to remain constant for 2025 and an additional $5 per pay in 2026. This agreement would remain in force and effect until the 31st day of December 2026. And AFSCME will be acting to ratify this agreement on Thursday, so before the board is opportunity to formally approve the collective bargaining agreement. Any questions or comments from the board?
None here.
I just want to, on behalf of the board,
Yeah, just happy to see this apparently resolved in such a quick manner, and I think, you know, both parties worked hard for one day, basically, to get this done, and I think it's fair, and I think it's, the expediency of it is good to avoid, you know, obviously any type of arbitration or any additional costs involved in this, and happy to see it.
absolutely. And, yeah, we want to, on behalf of the board, express our appreciation to the employees in the township for working with us. As Mr. Bach referenced, this was, what, a 2-hour meeting on one day to come to an agreement, which might be a record for us as a township. I know 4 years ago, our labor union made some tough choices to work with us, and developed a substantially different contract that really set us on a path of fiscal viability as a township. We're still on the right path with that last contract, and so I think it made it a lot easier for us and the union to come together and just agree to kind of extend those terms and have some reasonable cost of living increases and some reasonable health care increases, and pretty easy process this time around, I think.
It was.
Yes, sir.
So with that, is there a motion to approve the ASME collective bargaining agreement for 2022 to 2026?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second here.
All right, Mr. Bach,
Vote yes?
Mr. Olet,
I vote yes.
and I vote yes. Next item is the recycling grant application for the 2021 special collection event for May 15th, 2021. Mr. Olet, would you like to cover that?
Sure. The Mill Creek Special Collection event will be held on Saturday, May 15th, 2021. The event must be pre-approved by the Department of Environmental Protection and is eligible for grant funding through the Household and Small Business Hazardous Waste Collection Program. Mill Creek Township will file a 3-part application consisting of the application for registration, record of operations, and application for reimbursement. The grant will partially reimburse the township for the following expenses: employee staff time, employer cost, food and drink for volunteers, and contracted services, and that would include tires and freon removal. Recommendation in total, Mill Creek Township estimates that our application for reimbursement will be approximately $1,425 from PA DEP HHW grant. Supervisor and notary signatures are required on the grant on the application for registration.
Thank you, Mr. Olet. Any questions or comments regarding the special collection event grant? Okay, with that, is there a motion to approve the submission of the grant?
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Bach?
Vote yes?
Mr. Olet?
I vote yes.
And I vote yes. Next item is communications. Treasurer communications. Mr. Yashewski, anything for the board?
Nothing at this time.
All right, thank you, sir. Next we have a hiring request, Human Resource Department. I believe this is for the Public Services Department. Mr. Olet, would you like to review that for the board?
Sure. Request from Diane Lyons from Human Resources to fill 2 positions, 2 part-time positions at the Millfair Compost and Recycling Center. These are seasonal positions. There's been 1 employee resignation at the center, and another employee would like to reduce his hours to between 8 and 15 hours a week once the new employees are hired and trained. Recommendation of HR to begin recruiting 2 seasonal part-time positions. It's planned for 20 to 25 hours per week. They will have various schedules on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesdays. And the estimated start date would be April 1st. Well, it would be 2021. Some typo there.
Thank you, Mr. Olet. Any questions or comments from the board? I do have one comment. I know we had some discussion about the staffing of Millfair. I know we've always had, or have traditionally had, 3 part-time positions out there. I do have some concerns about this would essentially expand the workforce out there, and I'm not sure if I have enough information from the director to feel confident authorizing a fourth position. I'd be comfortable authorizing filling the complete vacancy. I don't know how the rest of the board feels about authorizing one for now, and maybe get some more information before our next meeting.
That was my thought process after our last discussion, was to, go ahead with the one and have further discussion regarding the, part-time hours, et cetera, for that second position.
All right, well, Mr. Bach, would you like to make a motion to that effect?
If I could just real quick.
Oh, go ahead, Mark.
It might be worth at least suggesting in the motion that when Ms. Lyons looks for folks, that she keep two in mind in case, it comes up that two ultimately is needed. Just a thought.
I'm sure Diane will do that without direction of the board. Thank you.
I'll make a motion to begin the process to look for replace one seasonal employee.
Okay, is there a second? All right, I will second, authorizing one seasonal employee replacement. Mr. Bach?
Vote yes.
Mr. Olet?
I'll vote yes.
And I vote yes. Next item, training requests from the police department. Chief Height or Mr. Bach handling that today?
Special guest, Chief Height.
Thank you. The first request is for Captain Mook to attend a patrol management seminar in Cleveland, a one-day seminar. The registration fee is $199. That would come from the training budget, which would leave it with a balance of $14,801. I recommend approval of that. Do you want me to do all of them first, or do you want to do them individually?
We'll do them individually. Okay, this is, I think, a second request in our packet.
Oh, okay, I see it now. That was a different order. Okay.
Okay. I'll make a motion for approval of this training request for Captain Mook.
I'll second.
Mr. Bach?
Vote yes.
Mr. Olet?
I vote yes.
And I vote yes.
The next training request was for 3 officers to attend a 4-hour standardized field sobriety testing refresher course on March 22nd at the Girard Fire Department. There is no cost for that training.
Any questions or comments from the board?
No, sir. I'll make a motion for approval of this training at no cost.
I'll second.
Mr. Bach?
Vote yes.
Mr. Olet?
I vote yes.
And I vote yes.
And the last one is for 4 of our detectives to attend 2 separate training courses at the Pennsylvania State Police Northwest Training Center in Meadville. 3 detectives would be attending a basic homicide investigation from 4/26 to 4/30. And the 4th detective would be attending a bloodstain pattern analysis course at the same facility on 4/19 and 4/20. There is no cost for any of that training as well.
Okay. Any questions or comments from the board?
No, sir.
Is there a motion to approve?
I'll make that motion to approve.
And I'll second.
All right, Mr. Bach?
Vote yes.
Mr. Olet?
I vote yes.
And I vote yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Next is a training request from the Sewer Bureau, Public Works, Mr. Gary Snyder.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Sewer seeking permission to send 4 employees to a class put on by Pennsylvania Rural Water Association on April 28th at the Erie Ambassador Center. The class is on air relief valves. The cost of the class would be $95 per person, totaling $280. The monies would come out of the training line item, number 623 in the Sewer Revenue Fund. The balance in the fund is $1,965 minus the $280, leaves a balance of $1,685. Travel would be by township vehicle, and this time would go towards their continuing education hours to maintain their sewer licenses. It would be my recommendation to send the 4 employees to the April 28th class at the cost of $280.
Thank you, Mr. Snyder. Any questions or comments from the board? Okay, is there a motion to approve the training?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Bach?
Vote yes.
Mr. Olet?
I vote yes.
And I vote yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Snyder. Next is announced that the board did hold executive sessions on February 25th and March 4th to discuss various legal and personnel matters. Next is solicitor communications. Mr. Shaw, anything else today?
Nothing else on my end.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Waldinger, I know you want to make a public announcement about a meeting on Thursday, and you also had a report you wanted to give to the board.
Yes. First off, we are having a public open house on Thursday, March 11th, from 5 p.m. till 7 p.m. That'll be on our new official map that we are developing. The official map was a recommendation of the Embrace Mill Creek Comprehensive Plan. It allows the township to identify property or areas where future public use may be beneficial, whether that's for protection of existing green space, whether that would be for potential new infrastructure such as a road extension. So we're working now to develop that. We have a draft of that map, and it'll be presented to the public for the first time this Thursday. Right at 5 p.m., we will have a short presentation explaining the official map and the purposes for it and what it can and can't do. And then after that, it'll just be a regular open house. Maps will be provided. Staff will be on hand to answer questions. And that'll go until 7 p.m. for people, to come and go as they see fit.
And that'll be live here in the building. Masks and social distancing requirements will be in place. Matt, I do believe we also have millcreektownship.com/official map. If folks aren't comfortable coming to the presentation but would like to review the documents and provide comments, you can do so online at millcreektownship.com/official map.
That's correct. The map itself won't be posted until Friday, but the website with information should be live sometime today. I do have one additional item.
Sure thing.
I have the building construction report for February, if I may. In February, the township issued permits for one new residential construction project and 3 remodel construction projects, as well as for 5 commercial additions or remodels. The total increased value, estimated value of all of the improvements was $644,500, and that resulted in $2,000 worth of permits to the zoning department.
Thank you, Mr. Waldinger. All right. Anything else to give the order before we open to citizens to be heard? All right. Next item is citizens to be heard. Anyone like to address the board today? Sure. If you wouldn't mind stating your name and address for the record.
Hi, Dennis McCann. I just want to say thanks to all of this trying year that the supervisors and all the township employees, as public, imagine you probably haven't heard it except complaint, but these trying times, I thought you guys have reacted quickly as you can and handle, just acknowledge everyone, the employees and supervisors for doing the best that you could do in a bad situation, make lemonade with the lemons you were handed. So I just wanted to thank you all.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate that.
Thank you, sir.
That's a nice way to start the day.
Yeah.
Anything else to give the order, gentlemen, or Ms. Williams? Okay. With that, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right. Thank you all.